Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back to your daily crypto news and analysis. And today, we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP. But first, I hope everybody did have a great weekend. We watched the UFC event here. It was very fun. It was incredible to see. For those UFC fans out there, comment down below what you guys thought of it. But also let me know how your weekend's going. I'd love to hear from all of you guys. I know that the weekend is ending. Now we are looking forward to seeing the stock market opening. We're excited to see what the dollar has in store. Because a lot of that does play into what happens next around this market. But today, we are going to be talking about a big issue. Okay, we have been addressing this for a while. The SEC is on a rampage. The SEC has essentially created this narrative that crypto is not safe. Stay away from crypto. And you know what? The mainstream media, big boys, have also been doing this as well. Jim Cramer. We talked about Jim Cramer quite a bit. For the last couple months, I mean, he's been telling everyone to avoid crypto at all costs, or else, you risk having all your money gone. And again, the last couple months have been incredible in crypto. For those out there that have been holding crypto, you are probably all aware of this. I mean, there's been incredible opportunities to make a ton of money. So a lot of individuals did lose out on making some gains because of this. This narrative continues to harm investors, and it's continuously going on as well from the SEC. But here we have from 20 hours ago from Cointelegraph, the crypto industry has already started moving outside the U.S., says Ripple CEO. And Brad Garlinghouse basically said that the SEC's lawsuit against Ripple is the regulator playing offense and attacking the industry as a whole. I completely agree. We start to see a lot of movement outside of the U.S. from Australia, the United Kingdom, Japan, Singapore, and even Switzerland. They've been starting to move very quick. The UK has been a big one that we've talked about for some time. In my most recent video on Zinfin, actually, we talked about how the UK essentially just made history utilizing DLT technology, while the US is sitting here saying, you know what, we need to avoid this technology at all costs. And I've said it time and time again, right, that crypto is a severe risk to these big bankers. These big bankers they will utilize anything in their arsenal to go and fight against something like this asset class. Why? Because crypto is a risk to their business model. It obstructs their business flow, meaning we are taking dominance away from the big bankers, and that's a big problem. So now we are seeing this narrative around crypto that everyone should avoid it. You shouldn't even be in it. Crypto's this, crypto's that. And this is going to continue on. But I want you all to understand, and then from my perspective as well, crypto will thrive. Technology will thrive. This asset class, the technology behind it, for everyone out there that can see past what the SEC is spewing, you all understand the value here. The value is endless. This technology cannot be avoided, and it cannot be disregarded because of the power and the potential behind it. Now, we do see over here, all of Gensler's comments on the space are critical and not constructive. Tell companies how to be a qualified custodian. Tell companies how to become a registered broker-dealer and ATS. And if you guys did miss it, we do see here from CoinDesk, could crypto exchanges be safe, qualified custodians for investment advisors? Just because a crypto funding or a crypto trading platform claims to be a qualified custodian doesn't mean that it is. This is from the SEC, Gary Gensler. Based upon how crypto trading and lending platforms generally operate, investment advisors cannot rely on them today as qualified custodians, which we've talked about this. They're essentially giving all of the custodian power to the Wall Street players. That's who they want to have be the custodians of this market, which is a big issue, right? But also, we've talked about Binance. Right? We've talked about the idea of, the SEC going after Binance. Binance is a big player, right? We know that Binance is a huge player, $8.3 billion worth of trading volume in the last 24 hours. Coinbase has started to see a little bit more of an inflow. Liquidity, by the way. A lot of people believe that a liquidity crisis is brewing around crypto. Ultimately speaking, I think that we see a lot of FUD being created from a lot of players within this market, which also I never understood why people will make up things and, you know, try to harm this market. If you are a part of this market, if you believe in this market, if you believe in the technology behind it, why will we be, you know, creating this FUD and this, you know, terrible narrative and fear mongering around crypto? Like, we should be sitting here and saying, like, hey, listen, I hope and I really do wish that these exchanges are safe. I hope that they succeed. I hope that they could do business right. I hope that they could avoid everything that we've seen in the past that caused exchanges to collapse and this and that. Like, we need to learn from our lessons. We need to come together and help this space grow, because without that, guess what? This market will continue to crumble, especially at a time where regulators are trying to kill this asset class before it can even, you know, take its first steps, because we still are in the infancy of what this market is essentially becoming. Now, we do see over here, and talking about coming together, from John Dean, he calls on the crypto community to unite in the face of the regulatory threat unleashed by the SEC. This got posted by U.Today. We do see down here, pro-crypto lawyer and legal representative for XRP holders, John Dean, has called on the crypto community to unite in the face of the regulatory threat unleashed by the U.S. SEC. It is time for the crypto community to think outside the box and get organized, says lawyer. As an example, he cites the opportunity for all companies touched by the regulator's baton to meet, share ideas, and develop coordinated strategies. And yeah, you know, right now, as we do look at the SEC, they are a full-fledged war against crypto market. They're basically in this rampage of a movement to kill crypto. A lot of people think that I'm crazy to say that, like they're here to kill crypto. People think they're not trying to kill it. No. What they're trying to do is they're trying to take control of crypto, which, again, in the same exact narrative, that's them killing this asset class, right? If this market and if this asset class becomes controlled by the same individuals and the same players that have controlled the monopoly banking system for so long, crypto has failed. It is essentially killed. So this is a big issue, right? And we do see down here that previously, not least, because of Deaton's actions, permission to participate in Ripple's case against the SEC was guaranteed for about 3,000 XRP holders. In a class action lawsuit against the regulator, however, the lawyer was able to bring together more than 75,000 investors who suffered losses as a result of the investigation and further legal action. And by the way, for those out there that are not aware, the SEC has caused $15 billion worth of damages to XRP investors. That is absolutely insane. Now, also from Johnny Dean, we do see over here, the SEC always wants to shield itself from public scrutiny. The reason is that the SEC lawyers do not act in the best interest of investors. That is a fact, not an opinion. And yes, we do see down here from Gabriel Shapiro some more detail here on the SEC's objections to Voyager's bankruptcy plan. Apparently, the SEC attorney involved would only discuss specific concerns with the judge in private, and the judge rightfully insisted these issues play out in open court instead. The SEC continues to try to hide from public view. This is a problem. It is a serious issue that I believe is exactly why we need, as investors, as retail investors, we need to come together and make sure that everything on the SEC side sees the light of day. Those Hinman documents need to see the light of day. We need to see what the SEC is, and that is a corrupt agency funded by taxpayer money, and it's a big problem. Now, also, from Johnny Dean, I've seen this being posted around. It's a narrative that a lot of people are playing out. You'll probably see a lot of clickbait around this as well. And we do see from Crypto Bull 2020 over on Twitter, this is bad for XRP and Ripple in my opinion. I actually now believe that Judge Torres will rule in favor of the SEC, and we will have to wait until the case goes to the Supreme Court. If you guys did miss this, U.S. Judge dismisses case against Jeffrey Epstein's jail guards. And a lot of people thought that this was Judge Torres essentially becoming part of the deep state, as you guys do see up here. We do see people are reading this entirely wrong. People read that Judge Torres dismissed the case versus 2 guards who falsified records related to Epstein and then make the crazy leap into the Judge Torres as part of the deep state and will thus decide in favor of the SEC. Absolutely not true. And I agree here. Honestly, as we do focus on this, like, let's look at the real picture behind this. We do see the judge didn't summarily dismiss this case the way people are assuming. She dismissed it according to a plea deal after prosecutors said in a filing last week that the guards completed deferred prosecution. So, again, we are lucky to have Judge Torres on this case. I think that she's going to do right by the investors, or at least we could hope. But as we do focus on this, I think that this narrative, a lot of narratives get created around this space, and it definitely is something that we need to be aware of, and we really need to make sure that we take a step back, read into it, and understand it. Now, with that in mind, I do want to end this video off with Hester Pierce. So we do see over here from Wendy O, Crypto Wendy O. I'm sure that you guys are aware of her. We do see, honestly, SEC, work with Hester Pierce and get something out. She did the legwork. America was sold on the idea of being free, and we have less freedoms than other countries. At this point, it's just embarrassing. I stand with the XRP folks. And we do see down here, join the DCTA org. We are one of the few and only organizations in blockchain, NFTs, crypto, and Bitcoin that are fighting for retail. Then we do see we need all the help we can get to stop the SEC. And this was quoting the initial article over here, and it really kind of goes in depth on how the U.S. is at a severe risk of missing out on being a hub for blockchain and crypto innovation, and it does go on to mention a few things. But this is a little discussion with Thinking Crypto 1, which, by the way, shout out to Thinking Crypto 1, incredible podcast. SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce talks about if Gary Gensler and the other SEC commissioners have discussed her safe harbor proposal for the crypto market. Now, listen closely to this. It's about 2 minutes and 15 seconds long, and then I will talk a little bit more about this.
So have you and Chair Gensler spoken further about your safe harbor proposal? I mean, going back to my initial thoughts, you put out logical, reasonable recommendations, but it seems like the other folks at the SEC are not biting. I don't know for what reason. Have you guys talked about your safe harbor proposal? Are they trying to add to it or remove from it? What's the dynamic there?
Well, look, I mean, rather than talking about the individual conversations I've had, I think one thing to tell people is things move very slowly in Washington. And so sometimes an idea can be put out there and it takes years before someone grabs that idea and says, hey, why don't we take this safe harbor idea and craft a registration scheme for token offerings that is really fit for purpose, that really gives people who are buying those tokens the information they would want to have when they're buying that token, which is what the safe harbor tried to do. Now, I think if people here at the SEC were to take a look at that, there might be areas where they'd say, yeah, let's tweak this, let's add this disclosure requirement here. So I'm still hopeful that it can form the base for a tailor-made disclosure framework. And again, people will push back on that because they'll say, well, the SEC has these securities laws that have worked so well for all these years. What do you need to do? Why are you trying to fiddle around with them and create bespoke disclosure regimes? But I think the point is that Congress also gave us the ability to create exemptions, for example, to create tailored disclosure regimes. We've done it in the past, and there's no reason that we shouldn't do it here. And so that's what I'm holding out hope that the safe harbor, which my colleagues certainly know about, that they'll be able to think about building on that to create a good disclosure regime.
And I do completely agree with her on this. I've talked about it in the past. I do think that You know, we really need to start moving forward instead of having these discussions and just like saying, hey, you know, we need regulations. The SEC does a great job at doing this. A lot of the commissioners and even Gary Gensler himself say, you know, there's laws in place already. You know, we need, you know, these companies to follow them. We need this. We need, like, okay, well, there's really not laws in place. There's nothing that's transparent. I mean, there's really not a lot of fair notice going on. So I do agree with her. I think that this market needs tailored regulations. I think that this is an industry, and I think that this is a very new market as well, that we can't really apply these old age laws to. So we need to come together. We need to have some sort of collaboration with regulators where, you know, they do see the value here, they understand the value here. But the problem is, I do think that there's a lot of corruption as well. I think that there's a lot of corruption. I think that there's a lot of, you know, idea of like what these regulators understand is going on around crypto. Like, I think that Gary Gensler, obviously, we know that he understands the value here. This has been an individual that talked about XRP in the past, talked about how XRP is a currency, talked about, you know, the potential of crypto, and then all of a sudden he gets into the SEC office, and he becomes the chairman, and all of a sudden, boom, his narrative changes. Everything is a security besides Bitcoin. So what really happened there? What's going on here? Is people being paid off? Is there corruption? Again, a lot of what we do see from the SEC is them trying to hide information from the public. A lot of them is, you know, just trying to shield itself from the public and hiding all this information. We need to see a lot of things. We need to understand what's going on behind closed doors. I hope that we could see this, but very similar to anything else around the government that has corruption tied to it, we really rarely see that. So again, I'm hopeful that at the end of the day, Judge Torres will rule in favor of the retail investors and also see the damages done by the SEC, and also understand that the SEC is not trying to commit at all to helping as well as, you know, protecting the retail investor. They're just trying to protect the big bankers and the banks themselves. So with all that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, because definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. So it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. If you guys are on this before, this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.